The 10th edition of Australia's Arab Film Festival is underway in Sydney with an aim to address an underrepresentation of Arab voices and showcase some of its best filmmakers.
23-year-old Iraqi-Australian Zahra Al-Samawi is using her camera to tell stories about her journey. Her first short film, Abu Nawas Kingdom, is featuring at the event, and she joins us now in the studio. Zahra, thank you so much for coming in today. Let's first start about your journey. I understand you left Iraq when you were 12. Would that have been 2003, 2004, the time of the American invasion into Iraq?
Yeah, I came here before 2003, 2002. So it was really, I was 1 year after I arrived, the war happened.
And do you remember coming here and sort of what inspired, I guess, your journey into filmmaking? Was it your journey as a child?
Not really, but as here when I arrived, because when I came I didn't know how to speak English, so immigration was hard for me to settle in a new country. But what inspired me to do this, this film, because lots of things inspired me. First of all, the story that I want to send, I always have like what the story I see, especially when I was studying my bachelor degree. All the students had that story of vampires and like aliens coming to the world and zombies. I wasn't interested in that kind of story. I was more interested into stories that mean something to me and to my community, to my culture. So that's why I did that film.
And what is your film about? Can you explain a little bit about the story behind it?
Yeah, well, Abu Nawas is actually a street in Baghdad. So the story begins of focusing on two statues from the Arabian Night, Shahrayar and Shahrazad. And after the war, these two statues disappear, and then we see the female statue come to life here in Sydney looking for the male statue. And the story is actually a love story, but metaphoring, as what I said earlier, about immigration and people settling in a new country.
How much is Arabic culture understood in Australia, do you think? There's a statistic out here that it's the second most spoken language in New South Wales after English, but culturally is a kind of marginal place in society. Is that your experience?
Well, that's why I've done the film, because there's not much Arabic film that been made in here. So that's why I wanted to show the culture, the Arabian culture, especially the images that I've been showing. It's actually, you can see the Arabian mood to it and the film, the image and the look. That's what I wanted to achieve. I want to show that the culture and how beautiful they've got, like many artistic and poetry themes and methods. So I want to explore that.
Because there are a lot of rich stories, and especially I watched your film, we're seeing a video of it now, about the love story behind this, because Abu Nawas was quite a famous figure in Iraq.
Yeah, he was actually a poet, a very famous Arab poet, and then he has a name, actual street in Baghdad. So that's why I thought the name Abu Nawas Kingdom, it's like the actual kingdom representing like the old, and how it had, it means lots of like, you know, palaces and old stories.
Zahra, you want to become a lecturer in film and studies. What draws you to film as a medium to tell stories?
I love cinema. I went the first time that, like, my first festival that I went to was the Arab Film Festival, and how I was amazed by that, because it's actually, it can show your story on the big screen and people can come and see it, and then not only see it, they can hear, watch and then feel at the same time, and that was amazing for me. And from that time on, I always said I want to say my story on the big screen, people can see it. And yeah, it's unbelievable how you can send your culture in one big screen.
Do you have any plans to go back to Iraq to actually do some filmmaking there?
Yes, I wanted to make the beginning of Abu Nawas, the shot that you just saw from, like as an animation. I had it. My first plan was to the actual footage, but I couldn't go to have actual footage. So, but then hopefully in the future I can go and show more about Iraq and Arab culture to the Australian audience.
What message would you like the Australian audience to get and understand about your culture?
That it's artistic, it's colourful, and it's very poetic.
And have you been involved in this Arab Film Festival before? Is this your first time? Because it's been running for 10 years.
Yeah, I've been doing other things, but not as a filmmaker. This is my first film for the Arab Film Festival.
And how important is a festival like that for, I guess, Australians, but also to get your message out, to get Arabic stories out?
It's very important. That's why, I mean, when I was studying, this film was my major project when I was studying my bachelor's. My intention was to take it to the Arab Film Festival because it's very important. We don't see local film that happens, and it's the only festival or the only place that actual audience can go and watch Arabic films. So that's why it's very important. And then they showcase very important films from very Arabic famous directors. Like on the opening night was a film from Egypt talking about the revolution, and I found that was very effective, and the audience should know about it.